Moan says we got 106 likes already. Look at that. How do we do that?
DK.
That means we got people who are just lined up waiting to come in.
They gotta be, man. You know what? We're appreciative of that always, right, DK? I know that answer. Yes, we are.
Yeah, most definitely. Most definitely. We got a fun show. We were just going over what we're going to talk about here today, and we ended up coming up with one word.
Yeah, brand. We'll talk about. Speaking of brand, too, I mentioned us having all those. Well, you mentioned us having all those likes in there already. But this is what happens too, DK. This is why we're so antsy about the football, NFL schedule release and all those types of things because of the brand. Yesterday we both were kind of busy, and truthfully, the biggest portion of it to me, I didn't think they were going to get a good product from me yesterday, DK. If I can be, I was dog bleeping tired, man. Like. That stretch finally caught up to me. And you know how it goes. When the body decides it's going to shut down,
body says no.
And what is it going to do, DK? You like my robot sound right there? That was pretty good right there, DK.
Whereas today, the body is eminently capable of ringing a bell.
It is. Oh, we ready already?
Mm-hmm.
All right, I'm going to give you 2 dings today.
Welcome to the Ramon Foster Show. He's Ramon in Hendersonville, Tennessee. I'm Dejan Kovacevic in downtown Pittsburgh. And tomorrow is the start of the Steelers rookie mini camp. That, for anybody who doesn't know, if you're new to football and people come along who are brand new to this all the time, you always want to be welcoming them with your arms open. Don't ever act like you're above them or that you're in some exclusive club, man. It's the Pittsburgh Steelers. It's the National Football League, and this is the Ramon Foster Show. All of the draft picks come in.
Yeah.
All of the undrafted free agents come in. Anyone in that category is there. You will have no veterans. You will have no one who has participated in the National Football League at this thing. It's an orientation camp. It's who we are. It's what we are. It's where we are. They'll even have a session where they meet with Art Rooney just so that he can talk about who the Steelers are. It's a different kind of camp. Don't think of it as performance.
No doubt about it. It is a different type of camp, man. You're so correct. I will say this. There's usually 1 or 2 schools, though, DK, where the rookies can't come in. And my history of being with the team, maybe you have more information on that. I'm going to be honest with you, man. When it came down to – no, not even remember. I didn't even try to. Okay, when it came into them coming into town, most of us was just in the weight room watching them do work like, man, he's not going to make it. You know, like one of those conversations. But it didn't bother me too much because I never really had to do that type of rookie mini camp and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But the Ohio State, I think UCLA and USC, maybe Stanford. I think it's because they work on the quarter system and not semesters. Like some of their rookies aren't available to come in until after they get done with the year.
Yeah, it's not 100% attendance, but if somebody isn't there, it's because of what Ramon's describing. It's not some sort of protest. Yeah. Other interesting thing to throw into this is that you don't need to be signed to an NFL contract. None of the Steelers draft picks are currently signed. Of course, that's not as much of an issue now as it used to be since there's a cap in place for drafted players, but that's another thing that'll come up. So you'll see Broderick Jones. You'll see Joey Porter Jr. You'll see Keanu Benton. You'll see the guys that you want to see. Darnell Washington, getting to lay eyes on him and his health and everything.
Yeah.
So, but Moan, we're going to talk about the brand today, the Steelers brand, and why it is what it is and whether it still is what it was.
I think this is a phenomenal starting topic considering, DK, today is schedule release tonight. I think 8 or 8:30 Eastern.
8 Eastern. Yep.
8 Eastern is the schedule release. And I know you can search Twitter. Some people are leaking it. I saw the Giants' entire schedule. Me personally, now that I'm older and savvy enough, okay, I want to wait until Christmas, okay, DK? Hey, let me just wait on the 8 p.m. Eastern, man. But the brand, the question I had for you, DK, and I was like, are we that big of a brand? Even in down years, DK, even in suspect years, even in quarterback changes. The reason I'm asking this question is, one, because all of y'all in here to watch me and DK gaggle about the Pittsburgh Steelers and all things sports. But as far as the NFL goes, as far as the big networks go, y'all know who they are. Where Sunday Night Football, Monday Night Football, Thursday Night Football, all the streaming services are related to the Steelers. We always seem to have 5 primetime games. And me personally, I looked at it even different, DK, because I used to consider primetime anything after that 1 o'clock start, like the 4:25s to me. I think it's more eyes on you. I thought it was a semi-prime time. But if you look back over the years, 2018, the Pittsburgh Steelers had 1, 2, 3, 4 primetime games, that meaning starting at 8 o'clock Eastern at nighttime. And they also had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 late afternoon games. DK, that is significant. That speaks a lot about the crowd that watches us. That also puts a whole lot of pressure on the performance and the expectation of the Pittsburgh Steelers too. That brand, DK, is good as it stands right now over the last decade plus. Heck, for a long time, man.
It's beyond sustainable as an elite brand, not in the National Football League, but in the world of professional sports.
Yes.
That's underscoring the word world. The Steelers are a global brand. Moan, you and I have traveled internationally. I'm sure a ton of our viewers have traveled internationally. What happens when you get in a cab and you say you're from Pittsburgh? What's the first word that comes out of the cab person's mouth? Steelers.
Yeah. Steelers. It is, man. Whether you're in London, Germany, Mexico, like it's legitimately a brand, and it carries a whole lot of weight, man. I know there's others that rival it, and I love, honestly, DK, your history lesson you gave us about the idea of it being America's team or a team.
No, it's not. It's Pittsburgh's team.
It's Pittsburgh Steelers, man. They could have took that and ran with it, right? But no, it's Pittsburgh Steelers, man. Like, it is a phenomenal brand. And to me, it's amazing that this grows as far as the team wins and expectation continues to go above and beyond because you're put on that platform. Like, and that 12 or 13 season we had in London, right? You remember that one where we started off 0-4? That was honestly my aha moment, DK. It was 2013 when we lost in London. And we went 0-4 to start the season. It was 0-4 in the preseason. It was at that moment I had to speak to the group, and I was like, we got to understand that what we play for on the side of that right side of that helmet means a lot. Your last name means a whole lot too. But whenever you walk on that field, how teams perceive you, how teams want to beat you is way different than any other teams, man. And that's why we continue to get those primetime games. Tonight, I'm guessing when the schedule is released, we get averages at least 4 8 o'clock games.
And then remember that there's all kinds of flexing that can occur even after whatever it is that you see tonight. Everyone's going to say, hey, look, Steelers have X number of primetime. That's the part they don't want to tell you because it'll kill a lot of the buzz of the scheduling shows that this isn't the schedule, what they're showing you tonight. Okay, it just isn't. Other than what city they're going to be in and what week they're going to be there, you don't even know if that's the day of the week that they're going to play. What impressed me the most from a scheduling standpoint about the Steelers brand and the survivability of it and the eternal quality to it is that these, even when they were not good just now, it didn't matter. They were still putting them on Sunday nights and whatever. And you could go years at a time without seeing the Atlanta Falcons on primetime football.
Yeah, man.
Even when the Falcons were good Matt Ryan years, they just didn't put them on.
Chargers was another team like that.
Was it because Atlanta's a small city? No, Atlanta's enormous.
It's big. It's real big. Matter. It's an attraction city, man, where NFL young rookies want to go to those types of cities too. Pittsburgh is one of those I know what I'm here for type of cities. Like, I'm here to play football, but you look at Pittsburgh, what would you call it, DK? A mid-market as far as the NFL is concerned?
We're a very mid-sized city, mid-sized market in every regard. Meaning just as a city. It doesn't matter because the Steelers' reach is beyond that. For example, we looked at these international games that were announced yesterday. Now, other than the Jaguars, who have been kind of like a London B team for many years now, other than the Jaguars, and all that, they've actually gotten good lately.
Yeah.
All the rest of the teams were brand teams.
Yes.
All of them. It was all, Chiefs and Giants, and they didn't send over anybody who they thought was everyone over there would be kind of going,
huh? Who's that team?
What's this? Yeah, it wasn't any of that.
It wasn't, but DK, it can't be that way either, man. Just simply because the brand of the NFL is going to expand further and further than what we've seen so far. Like, what are they going? They're going to London. They're going to Frankfurt this year, Germany, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
and where they're going next year, although it hasn't been announced. The reason the Steelers are not going to Europe and haven't been to Europe since 2013 is they're saving their next international trip for down
London.
south.
I mean, Mexico.
Yeah.
Mexico. Is that a trip you're willing to take right there? Seems like a good one, DK.
You talking about me?
Yes.
Oh, I don't miss a Steelers game. That's always an easy. I mean, you could put a Steelers game on the moon. I don't miss Steelers games. I mean, it's part of the job.
That is hilarious. Like, it was like an automatic answer from you.
Oh
DK.
yeah, I got nothing. I mean, I haven't. When have I missed a Steelers game? I got to be there for my job. There's only 16, 17 of those a year. Yes, to answer your question, I've been to Mexico twice in my life, but never, only once on business. This is different.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I'm with Jake right here. He says, man, Steelers in Mexico would be incredible, and also said will be a home game. Mm-hmm. If you know, like I know, that is going to be a big time. That's going to be a big time dub for the Steelers down there. Just the expansion of just the fan base and just the growth. You can watch regular TV and see somebody in South America with a Steelers something on, merch on. But I'll be honest with y'all, the NFL has wrapped me in on this fandom side, on the coverage of the NFL, because I'm highly anticipating this. I also want to see, DK, if the Rooney Pool is going to have a season opener in the city of Pittsburgh in the 4-1-2. That was a conversation that was had earlier this year, right, DK, where Mr. Rooney said we need to see a change in that. And he's one of the core owners when it comes down to the NFL. So I love to see that be the case this year, man. Especially with all the buzz, especially with all the changes. I saw a comment a second ago we'll get to it in the Hey Moan segment that said, are we becoming Philly East? I'm like, does it matter? And Philly West, does it matter? You know what I'm saying? Like, the moves we made is for us to win.
Philly became Pittsburgh East is what
Talk
happened.
about it. Okay, same way as Baltimore did.
The guy who did that in Philly was a Pittsburgh guy who's now back in Pittsburgh, who's Andy Weidel. So there's no need to get into any, are they trying to steal the Eagles mojo or whatever.
Right.
They
just were hotter later. That's all.
Yeah. The Steelers were that long time ago. Connor Hannon comes in as a new member, which reminds me that's how you do it here.
Yeah.
Okay. Come on in as a member. If you're already subscribed and everything else to the channel, the next level is becoming a member. You'll find a join button. We'll have a link for you up here shortly where we'll show you how everything is done. You just come right in. You just you get your pick of fun emojis and everything else here. And after this little break that we're about to take, we will bring to you the only segment that matters.
That's Hey Moan.
At DK Pittsburgh Sports, we take pride in coverage that connects our city's fans to their favorite teams. Now, that connection's stronger than ever. Introducing our all-new state-of-the-art app. Find expert inside reporting and original podcasts. Check live box scores. Track the latest stats. Chat it up with our community of thousands of fans, all in one place. The new app from DK Pittsburgh Sports. Coverage that connects.
Man, we still have people gifting memberships, which is really cool. Jake points out here, whoever gifted me a membership is the GOAT. We have 2 or 3 people that have been doing that lately, and it's so cool. I'm actually not even sure how it works.
Yeah.
But that's really pretty neat here. We're going to get the Hey Moan started today. You can talk about whatever you want. I have one last thing to say on the brand thing, though, Moan.
I'm here for it. Let me hear it, DK.
I see all these references to the Steelers bars and in Florida and in this country and in that country. And we love having everybody here. The Steelers themselves love and embrace their fans. wherever they are globally. Yep. Talk about it openly, and they react accordingly. Moan, you've been the ambassador to England,
yes,
for this team, literally. Okay, you were the guy they sent over to stand there in front of Parliament and everything else, and you know, and you and who was it? Somebody from the Vikings.
Who was it from the Vikings? Jared Allen.
Okay, that's right. Jared Allen was over there with you, and you were the two guys that were posing for stuff over there. And I see William McDuffie saying Steelers bar near Dallas, Texas. Listen, guys, you are loved to death. It is Pittsburgh's team. Do not lose sight of this. It is a team that is built on this city's principles, this city's work ethic, this city's character. The two names are never separable. There is a Pittsburgh and there is a Steelers, and they go together. That is what they are. Just saying. I have to get that out of my system.
I have seen the one in San Diego, DK. Let me tell you this. It will make you proud. It would make you proud.
It's something. It's quite the sight.
Yeah.
It's also, there's some expats in there who some people who never even had a chance to grow up in this great city because they left either when they were very young kids or whatever else here. Here we go. Tommy gets us started with a gusto-filled, "Hey, Moan, were you ever a designated receiver?" I don't think I've ever asked you this. He's a guard, everybody.
Yes, I play guard, but this is how it rolls in the NFL. More times than not, you need to show something in practice that's going to get you on the field. My run blocking my rookie year got me on the field. I was extra tight end. My first burn was in the Cincinnati game. I remember it distinctly because it was on the road. I couldn't see the ball and couldn't see the snap, man. And I was just like, oh, Lord, here we go, man. And I just blocked the guy in front of me. Yes, I had to report as eligible, man. And nervous, really uncertain about what I needed to be doing. I just needed to know, Moan, get this job done. And I did. Absolutely.
Jake says 49ers opener kind of scary. I don't know that. Do you know that?
Whoa. I don't know that.
Reveals for here. Who cares?
By the way, Jake, the 49ers opener scary? Not so much. Not that I think of, because this is my thing, Jake. And God, you're almost getting me into scout breakdown right now, man. They have Trey Lance and they have Brock Purdy, who's dealing with a UCL injury right now. Trey Lance has barely played without getting injured, and Brock Purdy is dealing with that UCL. I look at that game as a feast 'em. Go get them. I will say this. I do know that the defense for the 49ers is very solid. They got Deebo Samuels. They got some dudes on that side of the ball offensively too. But I like our matchup as if we're talking about trying to be 1-0 in the season. I take that game all day. Yeah, I see that, Chad, too. Nick Bosa's there, but, I mean, you block as a team. He's one man. I'll take our chances on that game.
Yeah, I just –
if it's the opener.
Yeah, we don't even know that that's it. So I don't want to get into a whole bunch of hypotheticals here because I've seen these schedule things and everyone wants to be the one with the exclusive.
Yeah.
Just let it – it's not that big a deal. Just let it come out. You already know who the Steelers are facing. By the way, the Steelers' home schedule are the divisional teams plus the Cardinals, Packers, Jaguars, Patriots, 49ers, and Titans. Presuming that the Steelers open at home, as Art Rooney was lobbying for openly, publicly, then who out of those? I mean, unless it's a divisional team, would you go whoa to that? If they're playing the Titans here at home, the only good thing about that is that Ramon would come up
earlier. That's what that is. Exactly. The season opener doesn't scare you because nobody really knows much about one another from year to year. You have a basis of what you're expecting. But that's the reason most people will tell you too, the season doesn't really start until like week 4. And you're saying to yourself, why does it start at week 4? Well, you need that amount of time to get tendencies down, to see what they're going to do in certain situations. By 4 weeks, you should have seen almost every blitz, every deep pass, some trick plays that may come into play, but you get an opportunity to catch a rhythm of what teams will and will not do against certain sets. That's why I always give grace in the early parts of the season.
Antoine says, I have faith in my Steelers. I'm already planning on getting Sunday ticket. The road schedule for the Steelers, meaning not schedule. This is who they're going to face, which is, again, all that matters. The 3 divisional teams, the Texans, the Colts, the Raiders, the Rams, and the Seahawks.
Yeah.
That is a lot of travel, separate travel to the West Coast. Moan, respectfully,
yeah, man,
you guys didn't handle that all that
no
well.
Disrespectfully, DK. Disrespectfully, we did not. That is a little bit of a gauntlet when you look at it again. And I'll throw this one in there too. That Houston trip ain't a short trip either, DK. Okay,
that's 3 hours. It's 3 hour flight from here. Yep,
that's what I'm saying. So it is. I'm hoping with all of this youth, I'm hoping with all of this motivation, and honestly, them being so young and dumb that they don't know what's what, that we really break that tendency of losing on the West Coast, DK. It is something that bothered me while I played, and I also look at the game somewhat skewed when we got to go out to the West Coast to this day, simply because history showed it. I don't know what you want to call it. What do you call it? You've been there.
Yeah, it's I call it inexcusable.
Inexcusable.
Again,
fair.
respectfully,
that's fair.
I just don't think it's that big a deal. I travel independently. We don't travel with the teams and any of the teams that we cover here. Okay, that's just a journalism thing. But when you go out to the West Coast, like I'm gonna make a trip to Seattle in a few days to cover the Pirates trip out there. It's just a flight, man. It's not, and I'm not the one being an athlete or whatever, so I can't relate to that. I can't relate to altitude difference and things like that and how it affects athletes. But to say that, oh my God, the difference between a 3-hour flight and a 5-hour flight is 2 hours.
I will say this too. And let me say this because I answered this on Tuesday, if I'm not mistaken. Somebody asked me, what's the biggest misconception about pro players? And I kind of alluded to that. Like, everybody wants to win the game. When we went to the West Coast at times, it wasn't a thought of losing. It never was. So to be able to put it in a box and say that we only lose or we lose mostly on the West Coast, I would say that's not really the goal. Nobody actually thinks about it, and is more or less, they may just have our card on that day, and it's just so happened a West Coast team. I really wish I had a better answer for y'all on that.
There's just, we could bring up the Oakland game.
I was there. I played it.
You played in it. And all I was doing was trying to find the x-ray machine.
I caught a concussion that game. I actually had to come out of that game. Marquise actually pulled our trainer and was like, hey, Norwich, Moan ain't feeling good. And I was out of that game early. Mm-hmm. That was in Oakland, remember, on the football baseball field.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, somewhere in the infield.
Crazy.
David Mahokey comes in with a contribution. That's appreciated, David. And to anybody who does that or who comes in as a member. He says, hey, Moan, it's easy to see when the offensive line makes mistakes, tackles for losses, sacks. Why is it so hard to see an in-sync line from a fan standpoint unless the running back has 100 yards per game? Why is that the stat that we prioritize? And I know what he's saying. It's frustrating for me, too, because I feel like as a reporter, I'm sitting up there and I'm watching this and I'm going, I'm going to spend this snap, next snap. Okay, and I'm just going to say I'm watching DeCastro here. I want to see how DeCastro is handling his guy. I got no chance of doing that any other way live at the game, right?
Yeah.
You got to isolate, don't you?
You have to isolate it. David, listen to me. You see this lion with a crown? That's you for that question, okay? That crown belongs to you. Okay, not because you're asking offensive line questions, okay, but because that is such a
good one.
Well thought of question.
Yeah.
Like, I can sit here with a laser point and break it down to you as to why. This is why right here, okay, David? Nobody cares about the big guys because there are no attainable stats. You don't get your name called. That's the point. That is the biggest issue of it all. Pancakes. Like, I can tell you I had 5 pancakes in the game. You say, well, y'all still lost. Like, when a line is in sync, it is by far one of the most beautiful things you will see, too. Like, it is something that I enjoyed knowing that, look, we stepped great together, man. But how do you actually give positives or negatives? Because we've had big old positive plays with 1 or 2 guys with a negative on that actual play. Right guard and left tackle might have a negative, but we got 50 yards on the play. And it's simply because it's about how many times can you beat your guy in front of you. The syncness part of it may still be, I may be behind Marquise and there's a looper that gets around him but doesn't hit Ben. It's just really one of those things to where it's not necessarily one stat by another. it's the entire group. That's why I always break it down to you guys that, look, it may take time for this new OL to get together. 4 weeks is what I'm saying. Doesn't mean they're going to be bad. It just means that it may take a little bit of time because steps have to be right. Movement, snap count, understanding who can do what in live shots under the lights. Like, it is so much. And I appreciate you asking a question like that because it's like dancing.
I thought you were going for synchronized swimming, but okay.
I mean,
that came up earlier in the week.
it gets me going that somebody would ask a question like that because there's no real way to say it. But you do know when a guy is bad or an entire line is bad, but that can also be somebody else's problem. Maybe the quarterback should have got rid of the ball on his first read.
I'm going to give this one a shot. If you ever want to get excited about an offensive line in pass pro, because that's what you're talking about here, okay? If you ever want to watch, and again, most people are obviously watching on television, not in person. So if you're watching on TV, okay, if you're watching a game, you see the replay and you see one of those shots from behind, which are always the way better angles than the standard TV shot from the sideline. If you see an offensive lineman communicating in any form with another offensive lineman just before the snap, and you see those two guys execute in a way that you might not normally see them execute, and you'll end up seeing body on body, boom, and then over to the left, body on body, boom. That's beautiful.
That's beautiful. It is.
That's probably the center.
Yeah.
That's calling that shot. He's saying, listen, this guy right here, he's me. Okay.
Or 4 of the 5 working and the 5th guy, DK, finding work. Like there's
as opposed to not finding work.
Oh my God. I have the best way to categorize offensive line, good or bad. You ready for it, DK? It's a good little laugh right here. You ready? All right, let's do it. Ramon Foster career stats. 160 game plays, 145 games started. That is how they do it. Thanks,
Blake.
Blake.
Your stats.
That is
your
man.
stats. Although I'm telling you, that's going to change because you're starting to see more and more people rely on Pro Football Focus, and at some point, the NFL is not going to let PFF hog the brand.
You better believe it, DK.
Okay, do you follow me here?
Yes, I do. But here's the other way too, and this is what's the back end that sucks for the OL. The biggest group on the field on every team, the most players in the NFL, I think, at any position for the most part. But there's only so many Pro Bowl and all pro guys too. If you don't get one of those accolades, then it's almost as if nothing really happened. And that right there is why. But I digress and we move forward.
Blake's got your stats up on the board there.
You see that?
He Blake just existed, everybody. We just existed.
Yes, we did.
Brian Altina says, hey, Moan, one of my daughters is an exceptional athlete. Any advice on how to mold her without pushing too hard?
Continually have conversation, Brian. Get understanding with your child. And this is what I always tell my boys. We'll go through our pregame. Hey, make sure you do this. Understand this. Pay attention to that. The best thing you can tell your daughter who's a youth playing sports, have fun. Remove yourself as a parent. Let them do their thing. Take them to all the training they need to. But at the end of the day, you make sure you do every week, once a month, checks on them mentally and ask them, are you still having fun? If they are and they're truthful about it, push. Give little nuggets, pull back at a time, let them flourish, see if they're going to work on their own. Give little nuggets, pull back, ask questions, talk about it. But make sure, especially as a youth, they're having fun because as soon as they get to college or she go pro, it turns a little bit different from there.
Yeah, it's something else entirely. The one thing I say to my kids every time they leave the house, every single time, last 2 words, have fun.
Yeah.
Whatever it is that you're doing, have fun. Everything else will follow.
Yeah.
At that age, have fun.
And
Jake says, go ahead.
I was going to say, unless they're being disrespectful or disrespecting the game, don't beat them down. Your job as a parent, for the most part, is to encourage, support. And I'm even learning that my doggone self as I say this. So I'm talking to me too. Okay. Encourage, support. As long as they're not disrespecting the game or disrespecting people out there in the game, let them have it. Talk to them the next day about what you didn't like, what you didn't see. Okay, that's what I'd also tell you.
Jake says it's time to talk about Arthur Millette. Very confusing move. Arthur, I have to give the official disclosure on this show, is a dude of mine. Arthur was my guy for a couple of years now. And somebody that I relied quite a bit on as a reporter to get the truth, to get a real good, healthy vibe of this team. Where is this team? What are you thinking? The kind of stuff I used to ask you, Moan, in the locker room. Where are you really? What's really happening in here?
Yeah.
And Arthur was that, and it was appreciated. A great guy, tremendous competitor, and actually a very good football player as a nickel corner when it came to covering the run. Not so much with the pass. You want to talk about some of those PFF stats. They were not generous to Millette when it came to pass coverage. But, Moan, it's becoming clearer to me that this team, especially with the really understated acquisition of Keanu Neal, is going to become a 3-safety operation that has Neal up closer to the line of scrimmage, helping out Cole Holcomb, helping out Landon Roberts. It's going to look different, man. It's going to look different.
Yeah. And this is the thing. So I think as much as we find ourselves in love with the players that are inside of that building from the year before, 2 years before, the business, y'all, either you're getting better, you're getting worse, or you're getting on. I've said that before. That's kind of how it goes. And if a team, and as much as we criticize, or you guys criticize Coach Tomlin, these are the moves, the hard moves that have to be made in order to keep your brand, as we spoke about this earlier with the schedule release, at top shape, like the top tier. Like, I don't like it, DK, right? I know you're probably not a huge fan of it, but youth, experience, and a type is what they're looking for.
Yeah, they're looking for aggression. They're looking for making sure that they can make plays, that they can make splash plays. One of the things that's a commonality on the resume of all the guys that have been added defensively, with the exception of Joey Porter Jr., is that they're proficient at takeaways, at taking the football away, and they believe that Joey can do that as well. Slide Rule Art, I should say, says, "Hey, Moan, no one calling you the Big Ragu anymore. Where'd that name even come from?"
Yeah, no, I still get called that. You hear me? Even in Tennessee, the Big Ragu. It was somebody at the park the other day that kind of said that. It came from Tunch and Wolf. Word got around the facility that I made a really good lasagna, and they needed to know, why was it so good? Why was everybody asking about it? Everybody tried it, and they were just like, it's got to be something. What is it? It's the sauce. It's the Ragu sauce. You the Big Ragu. That's where it came from, Rule Art.
I miss Tunch every day.
I do too.
Okay, this is as real and as genuine and just such a heartfelt human being that's hard to describe. Okay, it's not like just because he passed, so they're saying nice things about him. I don't know. You heard everybody say this stuff about him. I'm going to tell you my favorite thing about Tunch and Wolf together, which is how I think of them to this day, and I tell Wolf that, and he thinks of them the same way. Actually, is they didn't just do the job. They didn't show up and, here's the booth, put on the headset, and let's analyze.
No.
They practically were embedded with you. It's a very different vibe.
Yeah.
There's commentating, and then there's commentating from within. It was almost like being embedded within a military operation.
Yeah.
The way reporters are in a war. Yeah. They were with you guys at every practice. They were talking to you. They were, and for the case of the offensive linemen, they were traveling with you because they're employed by the team.
Yeah.
But they were there, and it was just a different sense for what you did. And I loved seeing them around you guys and talking and living with you as if like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And this was one of the coolest parts about them that I enjoy, because NFL is such a cool fraternity, right, DK? So as you said, they were employed by the team, so they travel with us at the team hotel, and we step out and go to dinner and stuff as a group. We walk out of the door, DK. I'm not sure if you did this or you knew this was the case, but I see them two on a bench somewhere near the entrance down a little bit. And as soon as you walk out of the hotel, you get a whiff of something like, there's Tunch and Wolf. They sit out there and have their honorary cigars for each weekend. Yeah. Oh, my gosh. Like, you want to talk about nostalgia with those two dudes. Just been two dudes sitting on the bench enjoying the stogie the night before the game. Beautiful scene, man. And they always had something quirky to say. So I was super. I'm glad to have known them. Tunch for sure.
My favorite thing with Wolf, we do this after every game. Okay,
Yeah.
We're outside the locker room. They haven't let the media in. Okay, and you guys have your few minutes or whatever to yourselves. You cool off, whatever else. There's no reporters in there.
Right.
I just go up to Wolf and I just look him in the eye. Whatever the result was, win, loss, whatever it is, we just make eye contact, and Wolf will go like this, and he'll point out, because he knows I'm always looking for some kind of inside something on the offensive line, and he'll point out something. He'll say, "Did you see James Daniels? Did you see? That's what I wanted to see from him.
Yeah,
that right there is what did you see?" And it's always positive.
Yeah.
He's never a critic. He doesn't have a negative bone in his body. But I love hearing it, and I love hearing it from him, and I love the fact that he's got the game face on. Out there, he's in his 60s. You know? He's got the game face on outside your room, like he just played.
No doubt about it, man, and can tell you the ins and outs of the game, because they stayed refreshed to it too, DK. So really good friends. I got a really cool picture with him, Alan Faneca, David DeCastro, Kendall Simmons, and myself, and we called it the 73s and 66s in a picture. It's on my Instagram, man. It is a really, really, really cool shot. So I was glad to have carried on Kendall Simmons and Wolf's number for sure. Craig Wolf.
Good stuff. Man, just talking about them, you can see the impact it has when you're talking about good people here. Aaron wants to know why they start minicamp on a Friday. I'm not sure why they wouldn't. And I'm going to say again that, minicamp, please, my friends, do not overstate the impacts of this event. It's orientation.
Yeah.
There's not going to be and we're going to get these on Monday and Tuesday on the show. How did so-and-so look? How did they look? You're not going to know.
Right. No.
You're just not. You might know how they sound from interviews and stuff like that, but you're not going to hear something performance-based or get some kind of nugget like what kind of amazing sideline catch Darnell Washington made or whatever. That's not this event.
No.
Joe says, "Hey, Moan, do you think that Kendrick Green would be a good fullback?"
Oh, wow. I saw somebody give a reason to that. Apparently Vince Williams said that somewhere, maybe on social media. It was Vinny. Vinny said that.
Vinny's always thinking.
I get his logic behind it. Want to just find a reason for a guy. If he wanted to transform, like who's Baltimore's fullback? Do they have Rashard? That would be something that would be phenomenal for him. But this is a young man I think wants to play OL. If you put him on the field in big packages and stuff like that, tight red zone, third and one, fourth and one, having the ability to get an extra push at the line of scrimmage, yes. But a primary fullback, no. You know where I'm going with this one, DK. I reserve that role for Connor Hayward. Because then you become multifaceted in what you can do with a guy like him on the field. You're a liability by putting a big offensive lineman on the field that probably don't have good hands catching the ball.
Jim Fairfield says, "Hey, Moan." Actually, he's got 2 exclamation points.
I like that. Give it proper, respect.
Hey, Moan.
Beautiful.
Could Kelvin Austin develop into a starter if healthy? Watching his college film, I was impressed by his ability to get open and run forward. No, he says actually run forward after the catch a shot at Deontay. Or does his size limit him?
Size doesn't limit him at all. I hate last year happened, but starter, he got to be dynamic. You look at this squad. Really look at the bones of this team that's going to start. The skill guys, Deontay, George, Robinson, Pat. Who's my 5th that I'm missing out potentially, DK? That's it right there. I said Deontay. Yeah. So Najee's the next one. Yeah. Is he going to replace one of those 5? Probably not, because you got 5 offensive linemen and a quarterback. That's 11. Starter, no.
He can in certain situations. You can see your base set. If you have 3 wide receivers out there, it's going to be Deontay, Allen Robinson, and George Pickens.
Yeah,
but if you got 4 receiver sets, which every team does, you can even go 5 wide. He can be out there. I'm picturing, as far as the size goes, this is kind of neat. I'm picturing, like some cheesy after-school film where There's the one little dude with the big mouth who's walking around with a bunch of really big, nasty dudes, but he's all tough because he's in the middle of them. Okay, that's what I see is Austin. Yeah. If you have all these big dudes out there and Austin catches the ball and he's got that ability to find that open grass, he just sniffs it out and goes for it wherever it is.
I do want to see him flourish, man. I got one for us, DK. It's pretty good, man. That's a dope brotherhood. You're 100% correct right there, Courtney. It comes from Robert Baxter. He said, "Hey, Moan, what could Kendrick do to become a better lineman? Squat so he doesn't get bull rush as much." Very fascinating, man. I'm gonna be real. I think it's more mental than it is physical.
Yes,
it's one of those things where next play is always the motto, and you can't overstate that enough. Good or bad or in between. It's never as good as it is, and it's never as bad as it is. And some people hold on to that way too hard when they have a bad play or a bad situation. I think his situation is like that. And this is the other part too. Minimize your deficiencies. He didn't find a way to do that, and by the time the season ended, they were already in free agency for other starters, and he couldn't beat them out, DK.
It's so much of what we saw, and you might have picked up on a little bit of a cynical reaction I had to something earlier in the show about not blocking anybody.
Yeah.
And I kind of went like this, and I'm thinking of Kendrick Green, and I'm thinking of all the times he blocked ghosts, and he would just stand there.
Yeah.
With his hands forward. He's like, "Oh no, kid, no, at least put the hands down, man. There's nobody there." You know? And it was tough to watch. There's no way that's not mental.
It has to be mental. The separator from those who do and those who don't, y'all.
Works his rear end off. I have to throw that in there.
Never question that.
His strength, his raw physical ability is not to be questioned here.
Never question that.
No, and James, on the other hand, questions the number of expert chefs that have been involved in this show, and he's right to do so.
Wow.
Because James, at the Get-Go Cafe and Market, quality is at the core of every menu item. They don't have one or two expert chefs like some other places do. No. They've got three. And all three of them, like synchronized swimmers, are working jointly on fine-tuning every detail, so that every sub, burger, salad, wrap, drink, and app is crafted for craveability. Order your favorite entry at the Get-Go Cafe and Market today. Better believe it. You know, we joke about the live read and everything, but it's good food.
Yeah.
We know Chef Tom, who is actually the head chef, believe it or not. And Chef Tom will come visit us at our downtown store, and he brings like stuff. He never comes in empty-handed. He comes in with these new test projects that they're making. And he's like, "Well, try this thing. It's a mac cheese bite with this and this and this." And you're like, "Dude, you're making food at a gas station, right?" But he puts everything into it.
That's awesome. Well, I'll make sure to let you know what date I'm coming up and make sure there's a spread there, DK.
Mm-hmm. Mark Lancaster says, "Hey, Moan, my first live game was a Cordell-led team against Cleveland at Old Three Rivers. What's this talk about Cranberry?" What?
I'm not sure. I've always heard the conversation they're alluding to something, a practice facility, but I think it's probably going to stay on the south side.
Yeah.
Cranberry Township is outside of Pittsburgh. So where are the Pirates? I mean, not the Pirates. The
Penguins are in
Penguins.
Cranberry. Yeah.
Penguins are in Cranberry. Yeah.
No, I'm gonna try this one more time today. They are the Pittsburgh Steelers. They are Pittsburgh's team. They're playing exactly where it is that they belong. Pretty simple process here. Renee Kelly, she asks, "Hey, Moan, are only rookies at the mini camp this weekend? What about the vets who were picked up in free agency? When do they have to report?"
There are rules that allow certain guys to show up if they didn't have ample amount of time, if they didn't play an ample amount of time, if they were on practice squad the entire year without being activated. I knew guys who are technically in the NFL for 3 years, but never on the active roster, and they had to go to rookie mini camp. No, it's not just rookies. It's some guys out there that have experience. And as DK said it, you said it too, didn't you, DK, early in the broadcast, that this is really a tryout still?
Yeah, there's not much going on there. It's an orientation. I can't underplay this event enough. Other than the fact that we get access to them, we get to meet them, we get to know them a little bit better. It's orientation. Slim says they're talking about putting a new stadium in Crib. They are not talking about any such thing, Slim. No, they're just not.
Yeah.
Okay, they're just not. The Steelers are always looking to make Heinz Field / Acrisure Stadium better. There's an internal feeling that there are things that they can do that they want to get done over there. Those things will not come cheaply.
Of course not.
That's it. There is absolutely nothing to anything regarding the Steelers not being.
I couldn't imagine it.
Yeah, this is. I can't even come close to entertaining.
The only change I would ever see happening would be, but they're so landlocked, I don't think they have that opportunity. Is the Pitt Panthers doing something on their campus? But
there's nothing they can do. Yeah,
they can't.
My answer to people when they bring up Pitt putting another stadium in Oakland is, which hospital are you going to tear down? And then they go, oh, we'd have to tear a hospital down? And I say, no, you'd have to tear down probably about 3 of them.
Yeah, you would.
Okay?
Yeah,
and so
you would.
The Steelers and the Pitt Panthers are exactly where they're going to be.
Do you see Acrisure / Heinz Field or Heinz Field Acrisure being a Lambeau Field type of stadium? Like, that's a real question considering the significance of what you just said. Like, is that type of stadium, DK, where you just add to it, beautify it?
Yeah, you don't even have to. What has to happen, there are things that have to happen there. Most of them, I believe, again, aesthetic, but most of them are internal. The stuff that they're talking about is internal. The stuff that we were talking about with that player survey.
Yeah.
Okay. It's a matter of knocking down inside walls. Okay. How do you make this work? How do you make that work? How do you tear down this room, that room, and that room and make that into an area that's for the family lounge and stuff like that? That's all.
Yeah.
Okay. Externally, when you're talking about the seats, you're replacing those bleachers in the north end zone.
Yeah.
You could be talking about different expansions of different clubs and suites, which is where you make your big money.
That corporate money.
Teams don't like to talk about this sort of thing publicly because it sounds like they're spitting on the common man or whatever. But if they take out 10,000 regular old yellow seats and replace them with suites, they're making way more money, infinitely more money. But then how do you respond to that? Because the Steelers have a season ticket base that extends to early 1970. So there's no I've got to admonish Mike here. Hang on. Mike says, I've been a Steelers fan in Arkansas since the early 1970s. I've never been to Pittsburgh. I've never seen a game in person, but I rarely miss a game, and I love how I feel more connected through shows like this. We love you, Mike.
We do.
I want you to come and visit Pittsburgh. Okay? I'm finding a nice way to say that. It's truly one of the world's most beautiful cities.
I would tell you this, man, depending on what's your closest city, Fayetteville or Little Rock, man, catch that Southwest flight, find your way up there. I would almost even say, listen, just be around Acrisure Stadium, be on the North Shore. Like, it's so many bars around that you will feel the presence of it, and you may even be able to scalp a ticket if you have to, man. It is a phenomenal scene. As a player, I didn't even see the fan experience of a DK like that. It is a phenomenal scene.
If I put a question right out here for a survey right now, and I ask people what is Pittsburgh's number one industry, you know how many people would answer something about steel? Okay, even though steel's like, okay,
that's not the industry.
We don't have a single steel mill left in Pittsburgh city limits. The number one industry that we have is medicine.
Yep.
The number 2 industry that we have is tech. You know what the number 3 one is?
Hospitality.
Tourism.
Yep.
Yeah.
I know it.
Yeah.
I know that.
I mean, we are. It's a special place. It's worth your trip here.
And the reason I knew that, DK, is because pandemic really hit and shut down. I was always told Pittsburgh was a emergency hub because of all the medical technology that they have there. So you guys were way better off than a lot of places in Pittsburgh.
Well, we cured the last pandemic, the polio.
I mean, seriously.
Yeah, that happened at the University of Pittsburgh.
Bayer's off to the right side of the interstate, isn't it? On the way out or in?
Yeah. The medicine is our our medicine and our hospitals are through the roof here. Slim says tourism helps out the city. It doesn't help it out. It's our number 3 industry. That's more than helping out here. Robert says he'd love to come to Pittsburgh. And now we're getting a whole bunch of Pittsburgh stuff here. Let me see if I can get us back to some kind of football thing here.
It is a beautiful city, y'all. Well, DK, we're going to try to really set something up because I know for a fact I will be up during the Titans-Steelers game, and we may have to get something together, man. I'm just throwing it out there right now, as they call it, spitballing real quick, but that is on the docket for sure. So y'all book it as soon as we know.
Yeah, just come on downtown. We're at 224 Fifth Avenue. Ryan Shazier will be right next door. That's where he's working now. He's literally the next physical door. He is the ambassador for the new UFC gym that's opening up right next to us on Fifth Avenue on June 1st. And Mark Lancaster asks, "Hey, Moan, have you ever thought about entering the NFL as a line coach? The way you break down the line play is poetic."
That's just 11 years right there. Mark, nah, man. Y'all know my focus is, for the most part, is my wife and kids, especially as busy as my boys. For instance, this weekend, my oldest is going to Georgia to pick up with a baseball team. My youngest has a tournament on Mother's Day weekend in Knoxville, Tennessee, and we got to drive there tomorrow. We're busy. That's why I told you we didn't do the show yesterday, because I was about to crash and scheduling conflict with both of us. So
we'd rather have you crash in bed than crash on the road.
Thank you, DK.
He just says to me so casually, he'll send these texts that says like, "Hey, I'm driving to Mississippi," and I'm like, "You're doing the who to the what?" But that's the way he takes care of his kids. That's something special here. David Mahokey says, "Hey, Moan, you ever think about doing a film session for an episode from an educational standpoint? I love hearing the passion in your voice. You may not want to coach, but we would listen to you."
Yes, I would. I would do that. It's a matter of setting it up, DK, though. That's a long stream. It's a very long stream, but
it also kills the algorithm. You can't do it. No,
we can't use it.
See, I'm here to be real about this kind of stuff. Yeah. It kills the algorithm. It kills the monetization, everything. The moment you put up 1 millisecond of NFL footage, the league's lawyers theoretically come after you,
Okay, well, there it is then. But listen to me. If there's ever a question, we can go back to a play or two. I got the all 22 also. So I'll just field questions whenever it's time, DK. How about that?
I saw this from Robbie earlier, and I love this. He says, "Hey, Moan, do you think that Dan Moore will answer questions for Broderick Jones if he asks? How do you handle that when a job is at stake?" By the way, we have a new king for best question today.
That's
that is really good. Same
Robbie.
Position. They're both young, but one of them's 3 years in. The other one's brand new, here to steal his job.
This is my answer to you. Yes, he should, and I think he will. Because if he think he himself is that good, then there's nothing to worry about. And this is the other portion of it too for me. Everybody in that room, from all I ever heard about Alan Faneca to Marvell Smith to Kendall Simmons to Willie Colon to Trey Essex to Max Starks to myself to Marquise to Marcus Gilbert to Kelvin Beachum. I can go down the line and lineage of guys that have did this. Look, grab a guy, put him under his wing, and teach him the way. My interference with the performance of the Pittsburgh Steelers can never be personal. It has always been that way. DK, how many times have I told you? Cody Wallace coming in, BJ Finney coming in, Keith, I forget his last name, Chris Scott coming in, David DeCastro coming in. Never have I ever seen anybody in that room turn a blind eye to helping a young guy out. That would be neglectful if that happened inside of that locker room, because it's been set for years.
Well, let's take it further.
Okay.
Just for fun. Okay?
All right.
This is a culture thing. If you saw Dan Moore doing this or behaving like this, and you're Ramon Foster, active left guard on this team, what happens?
He get called out.
Oh, hell yes, he'd get called out.
He get called out. Like, what do you mean?
We're all on the same team here, dude. What if you get hurt? We need him.
That is the mentality. That is the culture, DK. It is, and that's why it's always one of those situations where Like, are there issues on the team? Heck yeah, it is. But like, think about how much we kept the hood on top of the AB situations, all that type of stuff that went on. It's because for the betterment of the team, our job is to win by whoever's going to be inside of that lineup. And then this is the other portion. If there is any inkling of that happening, the guy's probably cut or traded. It's that, I swear to y'all, it is that simple inside of that room or inside of that building. And it starts with Coach Tomlin, but it's even above him with Mr. Rooney.
And even for your longer term future, wherever it is that you end up, you do not want that as luggage.
Come on now.
You don't want that on the back of your scouting card. Bad teammate.
And
Wouldn't
the league
wouldn't help out right now. Listen, I'm making it sound like we're making Dan Moore sound like a villain.
No,
This actually isn't going to happen. Dan Moore is not that guy. He is actually more. What's the word I'm looking for here? He's more engaged about accountability from his line mates, and don't take that as a knock on him either. Like, well, why should he be that guy? He's not any good. He is always aware of the culture and of the communication. He's the one. Dan Moore talked to me last year, had a great conversation about looking at teammates' eyes as he comes in the parking lot saying, hey, you weren't all there today.
Yeah.
What was that all about? You all right? Not in
Right.
a critical way, but you all right? I'm here for you.
Yeah.
That's Dan Moore. Okay, this is a good dude.
And
so I don't want to make it sound this hypothetical. Don't take it too far.
I got a real good one, DK, and we may be coming to the end of the broadcast.
We are.
I think William McDuffie's is one of the best ones right here. Who took Pouncey in? It was my job to make sure he was going to be took care of, number one. But what's so wild about that is Marquise made it his point for guys after him. Cody Wallace. Okay, him and Cody battled like they hated each other, but that's because Marquise was going to push him, and it benefited Cody Wallace, right? Fernando Velasco was another guy that came in and benefited from that. BJ Finney, Chris Hubbard. You see what I'm saying? Like, we made it a point to spread that love around because it's so much. Like, ask Mark, what did Marquis say on our broadcast, DK, when we did our interview, our conversation? Moan, I'm glad you took me in. I needed you. Like, that was and is how it always is going to be, man. It is I'm telling y'all, man, if this team wins the Super Bowl at some point in the near future, gosh, the bones is there. It's a matter of connecting that web and dotting the I's and crossing the T's, man. It really is.
We went a lot longer today than we usually do. That was because
going.
We didn't have a show yesterday. Neither of us could make it, actually. I was covering the Pirates game over at PNC Park, so it wasn't just Moan. Neither. We communicated with each other, and we're like, we can't do the show today, can we? And he's like, nope. Okay, cool. All right, let's just let everybody know. So we always apologize when that happens, but at the same time, not really, because there's just certain things that we got to do here. Want to see something cool? Watch this.
Talk to me. What's that?
Here we go, in order. This show got 300 likes.
Whoa.
Wait.
What else?
We reached 300 members today. And
my bells,
because we're not done.
What's that?
Coming up Monday is episode 300. It's like the 300 club here.
Hey, that's the 300 club, man. One more ding from my bell, man. That's awesome.
That is really, really cool. We are grateful for everybody who comes in here and keeps this thing going.
Facts.
It's a labor of love, and at the same time, we want it to work. We want it to be something that's feasible,
Yeah. I see somebody say, was I 300? If you want to believe that, Antoine, yes, you were. Okay.
Ryan, who's a big part of the membership drive, says 300 was a good movie.
Yeah.
I think that was a Zack Snyder film. One of those, where the slow motion punches and then the speed up, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I do. Xerxes in that was a bad man. Yes, he was.
Pef's just stalling here. He just wants you to ring the bell 300 times.
See, this is what they come for right here, DK. Where did I just see that? Somebody said, I love it when you get wound up like that, man. I get going and it just takes me, man. It does.
It's good stuff. Guys, we appreciate it. We will be back for tomorrow's show, and I'm going to have a little bit of a pleasant surprise for you as well, because I will be coming back right from rookie minicamp.
Nice.
So we can talk about stuff, information, or whatever that's right from fresh off the scene. All right. and Broderick Jones and everything else and all that other good stuff here. All right.
Beautiful, good people. Appreciate y'all attention, man. That time spent watching has been awesome. You guys are phenomenal, and thanks for everybody for the memberships. It's Mother's Day weekend. I'm without mine, fellas, husbands.
Don't let these occasions pass. Do not take them for granted.
Perfectly said, DK. Perfectly said.
You will regret.
Yeah.
Each one that you blew off because you wanted to do something else on a given Sunday.
Go get something. Pay respect even if you have to. Make it happen. Happy Mother's Day. We'll get to that tomorrow, DK. But, man, great show today. The brand.
That is the brand. Oh, look at the first half of that term is Pittsburgh. You see that?
What? Right there?
That's the brand.
And Steelers. The brand.
Big show coming tomorrow, guys.
Yeah. Be ready.